Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, it's raining brutes! Midland Brut IPA is a 4.6% Brut IPA from Midland Brewing Company in Midland, Michigan. Guys, seriously, I'm going to get a bell to ring. This is another first-time brewery for the channel, and this time it's Midland Brewing Company. Now, I remember going to their tap room in Midland, hence the name, when they first opened. They still had framing up before they got all the walls up. They had plastic up everywhere. So it's really cool to see them get wider distribution and not be just totally confined to specialty bottle shops. Now this is, you guessed it, another Brut IPA, but I'm curious to try this one because it's really just a sessionable Brut. This might be the first time that I've had a Brut that falls into that sessionable territory. I'll leave a link below with a playlist of all the different Bruts that I've reviewed so far, but in the meantime, let's take a look at this label and we'll unload this into a glass. Fun fact, Midland is home to the Charles W. Howard Santa Claus School, the longest continuously running Santa Claus school in the world. Not just in the state, not just in the nation, in the world. And I've looked into it a few times myself. So let's take a look at the label here. A really simple, really basic label. On the top, it has their crest, MBC, which stands for Midland Brewing Company, as you guess, and it says Midland Brut India Pale Ale. It's a nice white label, glossy with yellow stripes through it with a black stripe across the top. Very reminiscent to me of Pittsburgh Steelers colors, but I'm not sure if... Actually, Northwood's colors are not this color, so that would... I thought maybe it might be a college color, but this is Midland's color. And across on the back here, it says Midland Brewing, Midland Brut IPA, effervescent and bright. This Brut IPA is dry, yet refreshingly crisp. Crack open this bubbly to enjoy delightful tropical fruit aromatics from Mosaic and Citra hops, and a dry body you can sip all day long. It's, again, 4.6% alcohol by volume. It is 28 IBUs and has the independent craft beer logo. So 28 IBUs, a lot of times you think of IBUs as being their international bittering units, but you think that a lower IBU means more bitterness, and it's not that easy, but it's not that complicated either. So on the back, I just wanted to say I left a price tag on here. I want to get back into mentioning how much these beers cost. They got a couple singles of this. It was $2.49 for a single, so about $2.50. So yeah, that's $2.50 a can. Not a bad value, at least not yet. Let's try it out and I'll tell you, have a better idea. And this is canned on February 15th of this year, and it is now March 14th. It is actually Game of Thrones night, the night I am recording this. So I'm looking forward to watching Game of Thrones as I finish this beer off camera. Let's go ahead and crack it open. But this is 2 months old, so it's not the end of its life, but it's, you want to get it, the fresher the better. Probably close to 3 months is where I would say, like, you want to start avoiding an IPA. I don't know how much that affects Bruts, but just throwing it out there. Let's get a nose on the can. It does have a bit of a tropical scent. It has a bit of dankness to it, which I wasn't expecting to smell. It smells like a New England style. It smells like that Citra and Mosaic kind of hoppy aroma that you would normally expect out of a regular IPA or a New England that uses those hops. Let's go ahead and pour this. Very light, very clear, very light yellow coming out of the can. Gonna start tilting it up. And that is a nice looking beer. It has got about 3 fingers worth of head. And you want to kind of pour it and churn up some of the gases that are in the beer, so when you drink it, you're not getting bloated, and that's the reason you like to see a little bit of head on it. And let's hold this up to the light. As I said, I poured it. It was pretty clear coming out, but a yellow, on the yellow side. This is really beautiful. It's hazy. It's got a bit of a haze to it. It's got nice carbonation, so it got some really large bubbles rising up through. The top is a really nice golden, a nice light yellow color, and the bottom obviously is going to be a little bit thinner because of the way the glass is, but I can see the shadow of my hand, but not a lot of detail through it. So it's very hazy. Got a nice rocky white head, very compact bubbles, as you'll see from the overhead. It's got a really nice head to it. And the head's clinging there. It's sticking around. It's not dissipating, and that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and get a better nose out of the glass here. And again, picking up some citrus, a little bit of a tropical kind of scent out of that Citra and Mosaic hop combination. I think when I think of Citra and Mosaic, the scent, the aroma that I get is, I think of Odd Sides Dank Juice. The first dank juice I had has this same kind of smell. And every time I smell a beer that smells like that, it always reminds me of Odd Side's Dank Juice. But that's just a really good smell, so I'm ready to dive right in. I'm hoping that this has a lot of flavor for 4.6%, so cheers. The mouthfeel is light, it's crisp, it's a little bit on the thin side at 4.6%. Again, that's totally to be expected. It's not something that's, you know, totally out of left field, that it's a little bit of a lighter body. It has a little bit of a citrus kind of flavor, a little bit of a light tropical flavor as well. Again, it reminds me a lot of a dank juice, but the difference is that there's a little bit of a crisp kind of bitterness to it. And what you would expect from a Brut has a dry finish. It's got kind of this almost like a powdery dry, but it's not overly dry. It's not super dry. There's dryness to it, but there's an aftertaste. Sometimes when you get a Brut and it's too dry, you don't have any aftertaste. There's almost like as soon as a swallow is gone, there's no enjoyment of the taste because it's just all dried up and it's all gone. This has a nice dry finish to it. It feels like, kind of like I said, a little bit kind of like a powdery kind of taste. Not so much, I don't mean like a rough powder. I mean like a really fine powder that like kind of just, it just disappears. The actual mouthfeel just kind of seeps away. It just dries out, but the flavor is still there. There's still an aftertaste. You're still getting the full-fledged flavor of the Mosaic and the Citra hops. But on the upfront, it's not sweet, but it's got a nice citrus flavor. It's got a nice kind of tropical flavor that kind of holds throughout, and then the aftertaste comes through. There's not a lot of bitterness. The bitterness is actually a little bit more on the aftertaste now that I'm kind of sitting there and letting it sit in my mouth. This is probably one of the first, because I think that the Old Nation Woodshed Brut is a little bit like this too, but this is a beer that it's got the dry qualities, but I can tell that it's an IPA. You know, some of those other ones taste like they're kind of IPAs, but there's something else. This one still keeps and maintains the flavor of an IPA. And again, 4.6%, super sessionable Brut IPA. If you are not into big beers, like with a lot of alcohol or high ABV, and you want an all-day one you can kind of drink all day, and you want to try out the Brut style and see what everybody's talking about, but you still want to get some of that IPA taste, I think that Midland Brewing Company's Midland Brut IPA is a really good candidate for that, because like I said, you get that IPA taste, you get a little bit of that IPA bitterness, you get actually a little bit of a East Coast or New England style IPA thrown in there just for good measure, but it tastes like an IPA and it tastes like a Brut, and you get the best of both worlds, and it's only 4.6%. Not too bad in my opinion. All right, friends, that has been Midland Brut IPA. If you check out their tap room, let them know that you saw their beer right here. So have you had Midland's beer? Do you have any favorites? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you like Michigan beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about it twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I would really be sad if you missed your next favorite beer because you weren't subscribed and you weren't getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. And remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.